All right, it's time to talk about the jet stream or all of the jet streams because there are more than one. Obviously, there's one in particular, as you can see in this picture here, that has a pretty high influence over weather across the United States. But we're going to talk about jet streams as a whole, and especially this one here of the United States. You can describe them, as you see in the notes here, as a river of wind. Now, this river is not very deep. However, it is a couple thousand miles wide, and many, many miles long. Obviously, it covers the whole United States, and it goes even further than that because it circles around the globe. But the thing that you got to understand is with the jet stream is it's extremely important to things that happen in our weather. They are probably right up there with the prevailing westerlies as far as moving or deflecting weather that moves across the United States. And so obviously if it's affecting the United States, it's going to affect North Carolina, and then that's going to come back to us. Now, the reason why we have the jet stream is because it's when, obviously, when there's hot air and there's cold air, especially a giant air mass, you have convection cells, and these convection cells happen here in between these two air masses. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at that. Let me spread this out a little bit so we can see the whole United States, if it'll let me do that. It may not. Well, just do it like this. So we know, we're not getting too deep into this, but we know that obviously, like Florida, Texas, down in here in this area, we have warmer air. That's not a shock to anybody because we know the further south we go, we have warmer air. Then, the further north we go, we have cooler air. Now, in between these two air masses is where our jet stream is going to flow. Now, depending on the differences in the air temperature, the time of the year, the way, maybe El Nino or La Nina, there are many, many different things that affect the path of the jet stream. The jet stream can move around like this. The jet stream could be dipping down here, then moving back up like this. And that's where you kind of have to look at the jet stream and understand that above the jet stream is cooler air and below the jet stream is warmer air, because that's going to come into play as we move along. They do blow from the west, so from over here in California to the east, all the way to North Carolina, and obviously anywhere on the east coast. So they blow west to east, just like the prevailing westerlies. And it's because they separate warm and cold air masses pretty high in the atmosphere. Now, we're still in the troposphere where weather occurs, but it's important to understand that that's higher up in the atmosphere that some of this is going on. Now, why do we have warm air here and cold air up here? Again, that goes back to that same answer that we've talked about many, many times, because of the uneven heating of the Earth's surface. Now, we've seen that on tests, we've seen that on quizzes, we've seen that in videos, we've read it in articles, and we've talked about it here. And so we need to understand that these differences in the way the Earth is heated up causes these different air masses, and that's what causes our jet streams. They do affect weather across the entire world. These winds are, when I say strong, they're very strong. In the summer times, roughly 110 miles an hour. But in the wintertime, when the north is the northern portion where the colder area is, when it's a lot colder, the differences in the air temperature can be even higher. So you can have like really, really cold air to the north of the jet stream and warmer air to the south. And because of that, the jet stream can actually move 250 plus miles an hour in the wintertime. So the speed of the jet stream fluctuates depending on the differences in the two air masses in the hot and the cold. They can move weather systems. Now, I know that the prevailing westerlies move weather across the United States, but if a storm was here, if it hits this jet stream, it's going to get pushed down 110 to 250 miles an hour. is going to push a weather system out of its way. So the jet stream also plays a huge important role in moving weather across the United States. Meteorologists track the position of the jet streams to help predict the weather. I added a video today to our slides, and it's very, very good. It shows a really good video of how they track the jet stream. Again, if you happen to see the question, what has the greatest effect on the movement of the jet stream, like the speed of the jet stream, it's the differences in air temperature. Okay? Now, again, reading here, the jet streams shift. They move constantly all throughout the year. In the warmer weather, they typically move up north a little bit. In the colder weather, they move down south. And so let's go take a look at how that might affect our weather. So again, I'm not going to color everything in because I may actually. I'm going to just go ahead and do that. Again, we have warmer weather here, or warmer air mass, I should say, down here. Remember, up above, we have that cooler air mass. Oh yeah, Mr. Bullens needs to take a class in coloring, apparently. And then in the middle of all this, we have that jet stream that's moving around. Now, let's just take North Carolina as an example, and I'll kind of highlight that in green for people that don't know where that is. This is us. If this jet stream happens to be here, you have to look at where we are. Well, we are to the south. And what's going to happen is this warmer weather is going to get pulled up into North Carolina, and it's caused us to have warmer weather. And probably if you go back and think about when we talked about the different air masses, down here you have the Gulf of Mexico, so that's maritime. It's tropic, so that's a very warm, moist air mass. So you're going to pull up some warm, moist air mass, so it's going to be like in the summertime, hot and humid, and you're going to have some storms that come in because of that. However, again, we've said that the jet stream can shift at different times of the year. So let's go back. We'll highlight us again. What happens when the jet stream dips below us? And now North Carolina is to the north of the jet stream. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to bring down some of that cold air from the north, and it's going to make it a little bit colder. Every once in a while, the jet stream, whoa, that's a little too much, wasn't it? The jet stream does something really crazy. And we've seen this happen before. You may not remember this, but the jet stream will dip way down. And when it dips this far down, it's actually pulling some Arctic air up here, and they'll call that a polar vortex. Now, we've had the polar vortex come down before, and we actually missed school. Not because of snow, not because of sleet. We missed school because it was too cold for the buses to even start in the morning. And that was because the jet stream had dipped down very, very low below us. So again, you should be able to look at a map and say, well, I see that if I'm above the jet stream, like in this example, I'm above the jet stream, colder air is coming in. If we go back to our other example, where the jet stream might happen to be above us, it's going to be pulling in that warm air from the south. So it does have a huge effect on how our weather works. So before I move from this slide, take a look at this. You can see that the jet stream over here on the west coast has gone abnormally high, pulling some warmer weather up into places. I mean, we're talking in Canada and on up further where it's warmer in places that it's not normally warm. But if you look over towards the eastern portion of the United States, the middle and eastern portion, you'll see that the jet stream has dipped way down, bringing abnormally cold weather in. And it would probably have hit North Carolina and Virginia because we're right in here. So it's important to understand that the jet stream and its movements can have a huge impact on the weather across the United States. Again, I know that the prevailing westerlies move weather across the United States, and typically that is a great answer. However, I have seen a test question that says, what has the highest effect on moving weather across the United States? And prevailing westerlies wasn't a choice. And I looked at that for a long time, and then I realized, well, wait a minute. the answer is the jet stream. That's the best answer. It's not the Gulf Stream. It's not El Nino. It's not La Nina. It's the jet stream that's actually moving weather across the United States as well, and it has a huge effect. We just covered this. Remember that the jet stream separates massively different areas of air temperature. So two air masses with different air temperature. To the north, it's colder. To the south, it's warmer. And they just have a little blurb here down at the bottom. When the jet stream dips down and below North Carolina, it brings down the cold Arctic air from the north. And we just kind of drew that out on our page here just a few minutes ago. And we said right now it would be warm. And if we went back and to draw this again, if it happened to dip down pretty low, it would be very cold. I do want you to remember this slide before we end the video and move on to look at more resources of the jet stream. But look at this picture. Look at where the jet stream is. I mean, it is unbelievably high. Well, that's not what I want. There we go. Right? Now, there's some things on this map that you may not know where they are, and they're also listed right here. This, if you see all this, these are the Great Lakes. It's not normally super hot there, but because the jet stream has been moved up so high, it's pulling warmer air into this area here. Now look, we're about here, roughly, right where it says warmer air. It would be warmer for us, and this says winter of 2011-2012. So because of the shift in the jet stream, can pretty much guarantee you there wasn't a whole lot going on as far as snow. Now we may have had some rain and things, but if that warmer air is being pulled in, we probably didn't see any snow. We know that the jet stream can move between 100 and 200 miles an hour. Actually, 250 plus is what I read in an article today. It moves faster in the winter because the northern portion is experiencing colder weather. Therefore, the difference in the two air masses is greater in the winter, which causes the speed of the wind to move faster. I'm pretty certain we'll see that on a test. I have no doubt that that will make it on one of the tests. And if not, I'll have to make sure that I come up with a question that's similar to that. So again, there are some times where they might ask a question where it's not exactly pertaining to North Carolina. I do want you to know that this portion right here, all those blue things, are the Great Lakes. I'm pretty certain you will end up seeing that again. So just remember that right here is the Great Lakes. I think the next thing that we're going to cover, at least for me in a video, is going to be the Gulf Stream. Hopefully with the videos that I've added, the reading resources from Discovery Education and the videos on YouTube and the videos on here, if you're using Nearpod, have been very helpful in helping you understand the jet stream. Leave me some questions, just questions, not crazy comments, just questions if you have them about the jet stream in the Google Classroom stream. I will read those and try to answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you, and I hope to catch up with you guys again soon.